Hi everyone. So welcome back to another week of live sessions. We're excited to bring you a brand new topic, and we're going to be looking at food chains, and we'll touch a little bit on food webs as well. So I've got a brand new scene behind me. I thought I'd give this a try. I'm not sure if the lighting's any good, but you guys can let me know if you like it or not. I'm joined by little Bumble here on my shoulder. She's one of our owls. She's a white-faced owl, and I'm not going to be talking about animals today necessarily. So I thought I can't do this without having an animal. So Bumble's joining me. Aren't you, Bumble? Hey, good girl. So before we go on, just a little plug for our animal adoption packs. We've had a few people inquiring now about those, so keep those coming. We're really excited to launch those. It is a little bit of income for us at the zoo, but it means that you guys can adopt one of our animals for a year, and you will, if you buy the gold package, you'll even get the chance to come and meet your animal twice in that year. So if you want any more information on that, get in touch with me, and that's my email at the bottom, melissa@zootoyou.co.uk. So let's crack on with what we're going to be looking at today. So of course, we're going to start off with our homework challenge. Now, because we're looking at food chains, we thought it'd be a really good idea to see if you guys can create your own food chain. Now, if you don't know anything about food chains, that's okay, because we're going to be telling you all about them over the course of the week. So we thought we'd give you a weekly challenge. So if you pick yourself a habitat, can be anything, could be a woodland, even an English woodland. It could be a savanna. It could be a tundra woodland. You can pick all sorts of different types of habitats. So if you pick a habitat, and then we'll look at creating a food chain in that habitat over the week. Now, this will include a little bit of research on your behalf, because we'll be bringing you animals from all different types of habitats over the week. So all you need to worry about is thinking along the lines of the different links in that food chain. Now, if you're feeling really, really clever and want to push yourself a little bit more, we've got an extension for you. And so basically, if you want to add to your food chain, you can create several food chains within your habitat. That then will in turn create a food web. And we're going to have a little look at how to create those in a minute. Now, today we're going to be looking at the producers in that food chain. Now, these are not animals, and so that's why I've got my little animal friend here with me, just to keep me company. And as always, we'd like you to post your food chains on our homework post, which will be on Facebook. I'm only going to put one on Facebook this week because it's a weekly challenge. So you'll have to maybe scroll down our Facebook page to find that, but I'll put it on today at some point, and then just keep adding to that. If you want to show me every day a new link to your food chain, that would be brilliant. If you want to just share the completed article, then that's also perfect. So as always, we love to see your homeworks. So get creative, get sending them in. Get really colourful and artistic with this one. Okay, so let's have a little look at food chains. So basically, they consist of a lot of links in the food chain that shows the flow of energy. So it's basically a transfer of energy from one thing to the next, all organisms, of course. And we start off with the producer. Now, here on this picture, it's a grass, but the producer could be a plant of any description, and we'll have a little look at that in a bit. Now, the next link in the food chain would be the organism that would eat the producer. And so we call that a primary consumer. The second link is the secondary consumer, and this consumer would eat the primary consumer, and so on and so on. So you can see the snake is the tertiary consumer, and right at the top of that food chain is our apex predator. Now, apex predators are very, very special creatures because they don't have any natural predators. So that means they can sit at the top of the food chain and just basically eat everybody else that's in that food chain underneath them. Obviously, humans and what humans create, roads, traffic, buildings, loss of habitat, that all affects the apex predator, but they're not natural to being predated upon. So that's basically what we mean by an apex predator. And then finally, we get to the decomposes. And right at the end of the week, Liam's going to talk to you about the decomposes. Now, food webs are a little bit more complicated because, as you can imagine, life doesn't just work in a single line. And so it doesn't just follow that one thing will eat the next and the next and the next, because lots of creatures will eat a variety of different animals or plants. So they're all linked, basically, is what we're trying to tell you. So if you have a look at this, you've got a food chain and example. Don't worry about the trophic level. That's just probably going to confuse you. Just look at the consumers and the producers. So the food chain shows you a plant, a herbivore, a carnivore, and more carnivores. And we'll have a look at that in a minute. But food webs are a little bit more intertwined, as you can see. So the plant at the bottom is eaten by the rabbit, but also by a grasshopper. The rabbit, in turn, is eaten by a fox, but also an owl. And the grasshopper is eaten by a bird, but also a mouse. And then you've got a deer, which also eats the grass, and the deer also eats trees. And the deer also eats spiders, but the deer is predated upon by much larger animals as well. Not shown in this food chain, but it would be. And so they're all intertwined. And the point of creating food chains and food webs is so that ecologists can work out the relationship between all of the organisms that live together in a habitat. Because, as we all know, we have deforestation happening, we have species that are under threat or have been lost through extinction. And so all of these things, if an animal or a plant is lost in an environment or is reduced in number, it's going to have a knock-on effect with all of the other organisms that live in that habitat. Now, it might be a positive effect, or it could have a negative effect. I have a really good example here in this country with rabbits and foxes, and they are very, very much interlinked with each other. If the rabbit population goes down, so does the fox population. And so it's all about competition and keeping that food chain balanced, really. So that's what ecologists are concerned with. Now, we do have a few words for you to have a think about and remember. And these link right back to our classification week, which was our very first live teaching week. And if you remember, I set you a weekly homework challenge. And that was to think of other ways that we could classify animals. Now, in a food chain, you will get all of these words coming up. And so we're going to have a little look at those. So the first one is obviously the predator and the prey. Now, a predator is an animal that eats other animals. And a prey animal may well eat other animals, but it is also eaten itself by another animal. So it becomes a prey species. We have carnivores. And carnivores only eat meat. They don't eat anything else. We have omnivores, and just like ourselves, omnivores eat meat and plants. And we have herbivores, which are basically the vegetarians of the animal world. So they don't eat any meat at all. Now, sitting underneath that little list, that's your basic list, we have a lot of hopefully new words for you guys. I'm going to say them all because some of them you might not know how to pronounce. They're a little bit tricky. So you have the insectivore, and these creatures, the name suggests what they eat. They eat insects. Detritivores, and we met a detritivore in the sense of when we met the millipede, and they eat basically all the rotting food waste that no one else is going to eat. So that could be manure, like the dung beetles. It could be anything. Some animals eat decaying meat. Some eat poo, and some eat fruit and plant material. All of it is decaying. So that's a detritivore. A frugivore. These creatures eat fruit. A piscivore. These ones eat fish. A fungivore. They eat the fungus. And a vermivore eats worms. So there you go. You've got a nice list of words for you to add to your vocabulary now. And we're going to have a quick think about producers today. These are the plants. And like I said right at the beginning, the food chain is all about the transfer of energy. And energy comes first and foremost from the sun. So the solar energy is absorbed by the plant, and this is done through their leaves, through photosynthesis, and they transform that energy obviously into a chemical energy. They also absorb carbon dioxide, and they give out oxygen as well, as we all know. And then the plants are very, very important because they're the ones that are going to give food to those primary consumers. So on this diagram, we have a grasshopper. So the plant is eaten by the grasshopper in turn is eaten by the frog, and the frog in turn is eaten by the bird, by the kingfisher here. So in turn, each organism is transferring energy to the next organism. And that's basically how the world revolves. Basically, it's all about a transfer of energy. So if you have a look at this diagram here, this is the sort of thing that we'd like to see in your food chains. And if you are really, really creative and fancy having a go at creating a food web, here is the food web again. So you can see there's lots and lots of arrows pointing to lots of different animals, because animals, like I said, they don't just eat one type of food. They will hunt or eat lots of different things, such as the deer, which eats both trees and shrubs, but also the grasses as well. And the fox doesn't just eat mice, it will eat all sorts of things as well. So you've got quite a bit there to be thinking about if you want to create a food web. But food chains is where we'd like you to really focus your work. You can get really creative and artistic in your drawings. Start off with the plants, and then tomorrow we'll be moving on to the primary consumers. Okay, so let's have a little recap. So we had a little introduction to food chains and food webs. They can be complicated, but you can simplify them down really easily. So if you think about just one line of in a food chain, and then if you really want to, you can get really creative with the food web. We had a look at the producers. So producers are obviously the plants, as I've said. It could be anything. So it doesn't just necessarily mean leaves. It can be fruits, the vegetables that we grow, obviously. anything that is non-living, so but is an organism. So basically grass, you've got trees, all sorts of things, anything that a herbivore would eat. And your homework for this week is to create that lovely food web diagram in your chosen habitat. So don't forget, you need to choose a habitat. And then if you create your food chain and, sorry, that should say food web, you can create a food web if you're feeling really clever. So we'll show off, as always, your homeworks as they come into us. So get them started, get them over to us, and we can show some tomorrow. Don't forget that we're going to put a Facebook post on for your homework, and it will be on this link here. And we can't wait to see those. So finally, we just want to say a really big thank you to Andrew and Yvonne, and also to Jan Sawyer, who have donated really generously to our fundraiser. So basically, as we all know, the crowdfunder is still active, it's still live. These people have actually donated in an alternative way. So if you didn't want to donate through crowdfunder, we've got PayPal as well, and there's the link. It's just my email address. We're not forcing you to give us any money at all. We just love that you're tuning in and enjoying our live sessions. So get sharing our YouTube page, guys, with everybody, because we really, really want our subscription numbers to rise. It's free subscriptions. Everything on there to watch is free. So tell all your friends and family, and spread the news of Zoo to You, just so that we are still going when this COVID-19 hopefully is all over and done with, and who knows when that will be. But until then, we're just going to keep plugging away with our sessions. We're going to bring you some fun stuff as well, and so just keep talking to us, guys. Keep sending in all your homeworks, and we just love to interact with you lot, even if it's virtual at the moment. So that's me done. So I've put Bumble to sleep. I hope I wasn't that boring. And we'll see you all again tomorrow with Stacey and her primary consumer. See you later. Bye.